Okay.
overjoyed and is going to have fun with Nicole. Oh, because we're gonna build a vibrant culture on this podcast that will last, even when people laugh.
Oh, made me so happy. And
Yes.
I was looking at your history and everything, and you're from Grand Rapids originally, so
Woohoo!
that's like that whole Michigander thing. And then I was like, I bet you he was influenced a little bit by Detroit, Motor
Oh
City,
yes. Uh-huh.
Motown. So
The
I went to
barges, all that.
yeah, I went to high school in Toledo,
Oh, for
and so
real?
that's right next door to Detroit. And then when I graduated, they sent me up to Dearborn, and so I got a whole bunch of that good R&B background. That's the
I
best music in the
love it.
world. Makes you happy.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes, it does.
welcome to the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast, everybody. I have the amazing Justin Jones-Fosu. Oh, I've got him on the show. I'm so excited. And am I saying your last name correctly? I want to get it right.
Perfectly. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. And Justin and I have been like acquaintances for a long time. We've been in the National Speakers Association for a long time together, Carolinas and National. And I don't know. I don't know how I got a hold of your book, but I was like, I want to have him on the show and have him talk about the book. And so I've got
Yeah.
you here today, and I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining me.
I'm excited. I mean, now can be a better time, not only with inclusive mindset, but also I respectfully disagree. And just to have these types of conversations because we need it more than ever in our culture today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So look what he sent me in the mail, everybody. The inclusive mindset, how to cultivate diversity in your everyday life. So I'm just delighted to have this. I've got, look how many, can you see how many pages are earmarked? Can you see that,
I
everybody? Look
love
at
that.
that.
So I love asking this question. I know we're probably going to dive into it, but what's the number one thing that stood out to you so far?
I don't know. I just think it's too much, but I did do a giant fold on this page. So let's take a look and see what I
Mm,
love so much on these pages. Oh, I see what this is right here. What is an exclusion mindset? So, it's so important that you look at both sides of the coin, right? To see what's on
yeah.
the front, what's on the back. And so we talk about inclusivity, but like, what is exclusivity? Let's define everything so we're really clear on things. So that was the
Yeah.
thing that stood out to me. And then you have your trademarked inclusive exclusion mindset continuum. But that is
Yes.
all the way on page 41. So we got to start
Yeah.
at the beginning. You want to do that?
Yes, and let's, if you're open to it, let's mix in some stuff on respectful disagreement, which is the new book, because
Okay.
I'd love to kind of like that. Actually, I respectfully disagree came out of the inclusive mindset, and it's very interesting how it happened. But let's begin. Let's begin this journey.
Okay. Or you know what, Justin, I don't know how much time you want to spend with me, but we could have a whole nother conversation about that because I think this is rich and delicious
Yeah,
and we should dive into it. So we'll
let's
see.
do
All
it.
right. So the first thing on page 3, the very beginning, you say, what type of hugger are you? And so I got tickled to death by that because I'm a big hugger. Like people come to shake my hand and I go like this, I put both arms out front and they're like, oh, she's coming in for a hug. So I love that. And it says you grew up in a very hug filled family. You're a mama's boy and that you love to hug the dog and the cat. So I'm like, well, that's
Yes.
why I like Justin so much. So this chapter is about embracing the right approach. Will you talk a little
Yeah.
bit about the right approach to this whole concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, so for me, the approach begins with the hug, right? And so that's why I love the thing. And so this what we found in our our unofficial research is that there are different types of huggers. There's the handshake person, hello, it's good to see you. It's the hand hug, right? There's the
Right.
side hug, right? There's the the other hand hug, which I'm not sure anybody still does anymore. Then
Oh,
you have that. Do you
I
have
don't know
the
that one.
I'm gonna hug you, but my body's not gonna touch you hug. In the South, we call that the church hug. And then you have that full on frontal hug that you're like, ooh, right?
Yeah.
And interesting thing is that oftentimes, and I forgot the other people. There's some people when I ask them to hug, especially in my presentations, they look at the person to the left of them, to the right of them, and say, "If you touch me." Hashtag diversity, right? So the interesting thing is that how we show up and how we approach this conversation matters. If we approach it from a very don't touch me approach, we're likely not going to learn. Even if we approach it from a very formal handshake, right? I'm supposed to do this. It's not going to seep into our souls in a way that it makes it an everyday aspect of our life where it becomes a part of our mindset. It's when we fully embrace it, right? And I'm not talking about fully embracing ideologies that you don't agree with. I'm not talking about embracing those things, but embracing people and the humanity that exists. That's the full embrace. And so that dovetails nicely into what you brought up, which I think is a part of this approach, is the inclusive exclusive mindset continuum. And we found that there's 4 different types of people when it comes to this conversation. There's the I don't want tos, right? Not going to learn. There's the I have tos, right? And they're the ones that have the body posture with the arms crossed, like, company's making us do this, so I'm here. So I want to take that out of a different context for a second. Imagine you're on your first date to McDonald's. Sorry if McDonald's is one of your sponsors, but you're on your first date to McDonald's, right? And you have a Happy Meal sitting there, and you're like, I really don't want to be here, but the app says I'm supposed to, so I'm here, right? It's probably going to be your last date for several reasons. Our goal with this work is to get people to the I get to and I love to. And the I get to is like, I get to experience people. I get to experience difference because it makes my life richer. And I love to, and I'm not talking about training, right? I'm talking about where we leave our home bases and we get to experience the beauty of people and cultures around us. That's the approach I'm talking about.
Yeah. And that's so funny because, I tease all the time. I do tons of training, Justin, and I'll say, there's 3 types of people that come to training. The first type of person is what I call the lifelong learner. That's the person that gives the full on body hug, doesn't need to know you. They're ready to embrace it full on. They're
Mm,
like, I know I'm going to get a nugget. I know there's going to be an opportunity where I'm going to need what I'm just about to be taught. There's
yeah,
that person. And then there's the person who is the hostage. Like they don't want to be there. And then there's the vacationer. Oh, there's training. Will there be lunch? You know, well,
I
and if
love
we
that.
get done early, do I get to leave? Do I get to go home
Yeah,
early? So like I've always teased about that, but like that's what we're talking about here, and I
yeah,
couldn't agree more. And I think that this embracing thing is like the lifelong learner. Like I can't get enough
yeah,
information. Like I really want to understand how the world works, and hello, how could I make it work better? And
yeah,
me be part of it, right? So
yeah,
good, so good. Yeah, and so, I love in your book too, at the end of every chapter, everybody, he puts in there kind of like 3 action items that you can do, right? So it's not just a book to read, but it's a book to digest, right? Like
yeah.
so like how could I really chew on this? And one of your things you say in here, which I don't think a lot of people have done, Justin, is
Mm,
write down your honest thoughts when you hear the terms diversity and inclusion, and maybe how your past experiences have shaped that perspective. I
yeah.
think that's a huge challenge, but would serve the world in a powerful way.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And the reason that I find that's important is because what I've realized is that we all have different starting lines and different starting points. Some of us have come to this conversation and it's been very positive in the sense of like
Yeah.
diversity is a good thing and powerful and we need to learn. I mean, I learned that from my mom growing up because my mom was one of the first black female air traffic controllers in the Air Force. And she shared a
Good
story
for
with
her.
me. Yeah, she shared a story with me, and I was just really glad. I interviewed her for the book, and I was just like, "Mom, like, where did you get this perspective?" Because I realized it didn't come from me, Nicole. It came from my mom, and
Oh
she
yeah.
shared how there were sometimes she'd be stationed in Japan for 2 years, and in that same 2 year time frame, there were some soldiers who had the opportunity to, but never left base. And she was like, Justin, I don't want you and your brothers to be like that, to never leave your home base and not get to experience the beauty of people and cultures around you. And so my mom would take us to stuff that we didn't know a lot about and even stuff that we disagreed with, Nicole. And I remember sitting there like, why are we here? But I realized that my mom did for me is that she cultivated this understanding of that this humanity, even in those that we disagree with. And so that's how I was introduced to the concepts of diversity and inclusion. But other people have not been introduced in that same way. And so understanding where our starting point is so powerful for how we move forward and embracing it. So I love it. Like even right now, I love Nicole. You're not gonna believe me when I say this, but I'm sure I love when people tell me that they don't like or care for diversity. I love it. I love it. You know why? Because my first question back is not a statement. It's a question. It's not, oh, I can't believe you said that. Oh, da, 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 blah, blah. My first question back, Nicole, is how do you define it?
Yeah,
Because what I'm
I don't think
finding,
they do. I think they just look at it and it's like a judge thing.
yeah, but
They
that's
judge
the
the
thing.
word. Mhm.
But part of it has been some of us practitioners have been at fault. And I used to operate from this space is that diversity became about the big three, right? It was about race, gender, and identity. And I realized that even as I was doing that, it was that we've been boxed in the message. For me, diversity is every single one of us. Diversity at its simplest form is just difference from the macro perspective. Now, there's a lot of micro areas in race, gender, and identity, and religion, and politics, and belief systems, all that stuff. Economics is all a part of that. But every single person, whether you're blue, white, black, all the things, right? Or however you identify, whatever gender you have, and what you identify, like all those things, is that we are all a part of this thing called diversity because every single one of us is different.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it all goes back to the snowflakes and the fingerprints. I mean, people haven't they got the fingerprint snowflake message yet? I mean, it's a good thing, right? That's right. That's right. Okay. And so you say in here, that there's just a little secret to working with diversity and it's this thing of difference, right?
Yeah.
That like accepting this fact that people are in fact different and that we can embrace them. And I love how you come at it in the book because one of the things that I think is similar between building a vibrant culture and building a knowledge base and an awareness of how important diversity is that you do it one person at a time.
Yeah.
Like we're working on diversity, so we're having a training, or we're working on
Yeah.
culture, so we're having a training. But really, what we want to do is we want to, invite people to understand it for themselves
Yeah.
and to see it with fresh eyes and an open mind.
100%. And now, if you allow me to give some shades of gray to that,
Yeah.
I promise you, it'll only be 49 of the shades. The
Okay.
interesting thing is is that yes, absolutely. So the inclusive mindset has been my focus, right? And I used to be very prideful. I'll be honest with you about this particular point. I thought that my approach to this message was the only approach. And I realized that that's not true. Is that we need both kind of this interpersonal focus, but we
Mhm.
also need it on the macro organizational level too. And the reason that that's important is because sometimes we are the only people that we can, hold ourselves accountable to, right? Like I can only make choices for me. But from an organizational perspective, when I work with leaders, is that we can actually create better cultures where people can engage in these conversations more. Let me give you a great example. There's an organization that we work with that began to do create these moments for both formal and informal conversations to hear people's stories, right? And so I love from a leadership perspective, they created this place where people started having conversations and realizing that we're actually more similar than we thought.
Oh,
Even
that's
the
exactly
person that
right.
I had othered, right? And so that's why I think it's both. It's that we can only control ourselves, but if we are leaders, we have the opportunity to create these both formal and informal opportunities for people to better connect. And that's how we build more vibrant cultures.
Yeah, absolutely. I have this exercise that I do with people all the time called vibrant identity. And in that exercise, talking about having formal and informal conversations, we formally introduce it. But I think what happens is there's all these spin off conversations afterwards,
Mm,
and in that vibrant identity, we talk about like, when you popped on the planet, what were you given? Because
yeah,
that's the only perspective you have is like where you came from and what you know and whether or not you had a great mama like Justin or not, and then we talk about all the positive choices you made in your life and people start to find
yeah,
common ground, like, oh, I did this and that was really good in my life. And it's like Justin's like, oh, I can
yeah,
relate to that choice, and then at the core we talk about, what do you really value? And like nobody ever puts something ugly in the middle of like what they really value. It's always something that we can all
yeah.
relate to. So I agree. Those conversations are huge. And you go on in the book to talk about having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, which is based on the work of Carol Dweck,
Yes.
who's been doing
Woohoo!
this work. Yeah, she's been doing this work for a bazillion years.
Yeah.
And so teach everybody a little bit about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, because I think you do need a growth mindset in order to embrace all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would tell it to you in story form. So
Yeah.
I one of the things I've started doing in my life, right? Because in reading Carol Dweck's work around growth mindset, I started to ask, all right, how do I do it? Is this you? Are you born with it? Can you cultivate it?
You can
And she talks about
cultivate
how
it.
you can
Yeah.
cultivate it, right? And so I was like, so I started doing this thing every year called a birthday challenge. So, and I encourage your listeners to consider this as well. So every
Hmm.
year on my birthday, I ask myself a question: what's one thing that I've never have done but would consider doing? Right? Or have always thought about doing. And so it's led me to be able to run a marathon, to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, to learn how to sail, all these different things. But I'm gonna bring you into the one example of when I first learned how to ski. Right? Because even though I grew up in Michigan, we grew up very poor, didn't have a lot of money. Initially grew up on the welfare system. My mom worked her butt off, and we eventually got off, right? And so
Right.
all these things, but I'm going to ski at this little place called Vail, Colorado. Not very well
Right. They
known.
don't have very tall
And
hills in Michigan either, by the way, everybody.
yeah, we don't. Yes. But I'm in Vail, right? And I'm just having a good time in my low 30s at the time. I'm with some of my fraternity brothers, and I am falling over. I am, bundled up. I'm, on the little magic carpet, just trying to scoot up. And these little kids who are like 5, 6, 7 years old are like whooshing past me, like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Right now, I'm just like,
Right.
I'm
And
feeling
they
so
don't even have any
embarrassed.
ski poles.
No, right? Because they don't, they learn without it. And Nicole, I'm feeling embarrassed. I'm feeling like, why am I here? I shouldn't have made this decision. And you know what? It's because I'm comparing myself to them and where I think I should be, rather than taking the perspective of how do I learn, keep growing, and utilizing quote unquote failure as another data point of learning rather than a data point of doubt. And so this is where I began keep coming back, and I kept going back. And now I don't go to Vail every year because that's be very expensive. But I go now in North Carolina to Sugar Mountain, and guess who I
Right.
take with me? I
Your
take my
baby.
kids, who became
Yeah.
those little kids that were coming down, whoosh, whoosh. And this is the essence of the growth versus fixed mindset. Is that fixed mindset people, they only do things that make them look good, especially compared to other people. That they look at failure as final and just a cementing of their doubt of that they couldn't do it, and they don't want to be perceived as ignorant. Where growth mindset folk, they lean into this concept of the only competition is who? It's myself. And that data is just learning. And that if I don't know something, it's the power of the not yet.
That's
And
right.
that's the beauty of the growth mindset. And so I encourage us. We often shy away from things that we're unfamiliar with because we don't want to be perceived as ignorant and unknowledgeable and not knowing, rather than walking head first into it to learn, to grow, and to make progress. And that's the journey that we're on with the growth mindset.
That's right. That's right. And so, when I did my capstone project at Queen's University, I did it on the growth mindset. And my favorite part was this part about, how's it coming along? Not so good, but not yet. I haven't learned it yet,
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
and so the work that I did was based on not yet, which was this thing of like
Yes.
your ability to deal with ambiguity. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing to think about is, like, being okay with the what you don't know and being okay with the unknown is really
Yeah.
important. Like, it's all gonna be okay. It'll all work out, and
Yeah.
so I would flip that to this place of just have faith in people, have faith in the situation,
Mm,
and then the resilience to get back up and go again, right? So
yeah.
it's really a growth mindset requires a great deal of building of character to be okay with messy. So I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic.
And if I could dovetail, because what I love that you do in your sessions around helping people to connect to things that they've already done or that they've done well, I want to use this in this moment. Imagine for those who know how to ride a bike. Remember when you learned how to ride a bike? Right, some of y'all
Mhm.
like this, been eons ago. It's like in order to learn how to ride a bike, we had to fall. But
That's
we were
right.
so excited about the possibility of being able to ride and ride without our hands and ride without, hopefully you still wear your helmets. But yeah, we were just so excited about the possibility of what could
Mhm.
happen and what could come, that we were willing to fall, to break bones, to have scrapes in order to get there. And what if we adopted that same philosophy in our lives today?
Mhm.
is that we're gonna fall, and that's exciting because of the possibilities of connecting and building a better culture, both organizationally and better culture societally, when we step into that zone. So that's why I just want to bring us back to that riding of a bike.
Yeah, that's so good. Because, the thing is that you gotta face fear head on. Like you could, crash and burn and scrape your knee and stub your toe and
Yeah,
knock your head on the sidewalk and and do all these things. And so it's
yeah,
just having that, like I love what you said is tapping into what's possible.
yeah.
Right? Like, what's possible if I ride this bike? It means I could get over to my friend's house in 15 minutes instead of having to walk over there in an hour. Right. So don't miss that. A possibility will thinking will help get you there faster, more efficiently,
Yeah.
do all sorts of things. Okay. All right. So chapter 3 it's called diversity redefined. And so you say on let's see what page are we on? 28, 26. Merriam-Webster defines diversity as the condition of having or being composed of differing elements. Okay. And so,
Yeah.
I think it's good to slow down for us to define diversity. And so you also say diversity is not sitting around the campfire and singing Kumbaya or holding hands and singing Queen Latifah's rendition of Unity or We Are the World. All right. So, get into that a little bit, the difference
Yeah.
between what it is and what it isn't.
Yeah. So what we started to say, I want to start first by saying what it's not, so that we can get to what it is. And so,
Okay,
as
sure.
you mentioned, it's not that kumbaya experience where I have to agree with you, right? That real diversity is that even when we disagree, that we can still respect each other. It's also not the big three, and even how we talk about it, it's been interesting. I remember when I first kind of encountered this, it was the 2016 primaries. And oh, yes, I'm talking about politics. Sorry, y'all. In the 2016 primaries, the interesting thing happened was I remember the newscasters came on, and they came on. It's like, we've just been to Iowa. We're headed to New Hampshire, but wait till we get to the more diverse states. And I remember screaming at the TV, like, no, I have been to both Iowa and New Hampshire. They're both extremely diverse.
Right.
The
Labeling,
question that's
labeling, labeling. What
missing,
the heck?
the question is, what type of diversity are we talking about? And so
Mhm.
as I've encountered people, asked people to consider using prefixes for diversity. So are you talking about gender diversity? Are you talking about religious diversity? Are you talking about economic or cultural or language diversity, ability? To call it out, because sometimes in our desire to be more inclusive, we have actually excluded whole groups of people, even in this conversation. And that's why for the last 10 plus years, I've been screaming, like, y'all, we have to start talking about this differently, or else there's going to be a rebellion against diversity and inclusion. And
Mhm.
Nicole, that's where we are today.
Oh, I
It's
know.
because it's how we've talked about it. Oh, like, I went to that place, it wasn't very diverse. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a lot of different people. There's a lot of there's different
Right. Well, how
genders,
many
there's different
places
things,
did you go?
right? And, and not even at one place, but like, think about, like, you could come from the same place, look very similar, and could you still be very different?
Of course.
And that's why we came to this opportunity that diversity at its simplest form is just difference. Even in our families that might be very similar, there's extreme differences. Y'all know, the
Oh,
extroverts and
I know.
introverts. That's the difference, right? Uncle Bob that comes to the family gathering.
We
You
don't
love Uncle
we're
Bob, but
not
Uncle
sure
Bob
about
might be a
Uncle
little
Bob
different,
sometimes.
right? Right? Sorry for all the Bobs out there, right? It's the new Karen. Okay, but the interesting thing is, how do we show up? And so diversity is difference. It's also an opportunity for growth. It's not something that we have to be perfect at. And the last thing is that we take the tortoise approach. And one of my favorite fables growing up was the tortoise and the hare. I'm actually, my birthday challenge this year is studying the tortoise. Right, I've been really passionate. I just came from the Galapagos for a week, and I just was there
Oh,
with the giant
stop.
tortoises, just having a great time. And it's this apart is that we've often mislabeled the tortoise and the hare,
Oh,
because we
yeah. He's
called the
he's slow and
tortoise
steady.
slow. The tortoise wasn't slow. You know why tortoise wasn't slow, Nicole? Because it's slow is a comparison term. But the tortoise was resilient. The tortoise was wise. The tortoise kept going. The tortoise, if I could say this, was vibrant
Oh, yeah, he
because
was.
because it was his journey. And so all of us, no matter what journey we're on, we don't have to know all the acronyms and all the things, and we don't have to have DEI tattooed on our left arm, right? Like, we have the opportunity right where we are to make progress. And last but not least, is that diversity doesn't mean we'll never make mistakes. I've been doing this work for over 2 decades and I am still learning. I still make
Of
mistakes.
course.
I still have wrong thoughts. Like even a little something small, like, did you know that when you're hashtagging something, whether on social media, LinkedIn, other places, that you should capitalize the first letter of every word because those who have a reading disability, the reading software can't pick up all uppercase or all lowercase letters? That's a small moment of inclusion that creates vibrant cultures that we all seek and desire. So we're learning together.
So good, so good. Yeah, and I love the fact that you talked about the tortoise and the hare because again, I think it comes down to like the character traits of the
Yeah,
tortoise,
yeah,
right? You know,
yeah,
so he might have been quote unquote slow and steady, but he didn't take a nap. You know what I mean? He kept on
yeah.
work
And he
ethic
wasn't
is a thing.
slow. Let's stop this comparison. He
That's
was
right. That's
steady.
right. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay. And then you go on to the next chapter and you talk about an inclusive mindset and what is an exclusion mindset. And that's where I had the pages turned over. And you have in here the inclusive mindset is different from an exclusion mindset in 10 key ways. We could probably do 10 podcasts on these 10
Yes, we could. We could.
ways. Yeah. So the first one is a person with an inclusive mindset focuses on trying new things, even when difficult, when someone with an exclusion mindset focuses on only engaging in conversations and experiences that are easy. And that's what we've been talking about. But I wanted to say that whole thing.
Yeah. No, I thank you for sharing that. I mean, one of the things that is part of our tortoise principles, we call it nestle into the hard, right? We have a wise and steady framework, right? We took away the slow, but wise and steady. And nestle into the hard is something that I've learned from my mom, right? I used to wonder, like, why would my mom make us go to events that we disagreed with? Like, why would she have us at these places? And it wasn't until realizing that these seeds of planted around humanity. And so I like learning, right? And so part
Me
of
too.
learning is also learning sometimes what not to do. Sometimes learning helps me confirm my choices. And
That's
sometimes
right.
learning is just understanding somebody's story of how they got there. Let's talk about something difficult. You want to talk about having difficult conversations? Let me introduce some of your listeners. Some of you have heard of this guy, but of the gentleman called Daryl Davis. Now, Daryl Davis is a black blues musician who
Mm,
befriends Ku Klux Klan members. He goes to Klan rallies not to shout people down, but to actually go and hear their stories.
mhm.
And he's been credited, whether directly or indirectly, with over 200 Klansmen turning in their robes because of his approach.
Mhm.
Some former grand masters, grand wizards, have even made Daryl Davis the godfather of their children. Why?
Mm,
Because Daryl Davis didn't shy away from having difficult conversations about hearing perspectives that might be outside of the norm because he saw the possibilities, even in scraping his leg on the sidewalk, of what could happen from the power of hearing someone's story. And so,
mhm.
this is the essence of why the inclusive mindset rather than exclusion mindset is important. It is because when we choose to hear and connect to people, not everybody will change. I'm sure not every Ku Klux Klan member that you talk to changed. I know that's not a fact, but I do know that some have, and that we have the power to grow and change. And that's the beautiful aspect of this.
Yeah, it's about the one sheep. Yeah, there's one sheep out there you're supposed to find and help them see. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. So the second thing you say in here is a person with an exclusive mindset takes initiative and an active role, and that's what you're talking
yeah,
about right there.
yeah,
All right. Number
yeah.
three is a person with an inclusive mindset listens deeply to what other
What'd
people
you
have
say?
to say. I said a
What'd
person
you
with
say,
an
Nicole?
inclusive.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, see, I'm such a sucker. You know what, Justin? You're starting to act like my brother, and I don't appreciate it.
I, but I
I,
am your
and
brother,
I don't,
Nicole.
well, my brother from the same mother. That's what I'm talking about right now. Oh my goodness. So
Oh,
I always fall for it. Okay, so number four, a
yeah.
person with inclusive mindset reflects and recognizes their faults and seeks feedback. See,
Yes.
that one's about ego. That's what I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and before you jump forward, I want to give strategies. I'm a strategist, right? I
Let's do it.
sometimes feel like this message is so big that people don't know where to start. They don't know
Mhm.
how to engage. And so, two things that you mentioned around the inclusive versus exclusion mindset. One was about taking a proactive approach. It's not just being passive. And so, one way that we can do that, one strategy that we've encountered, I'll give you a mathematical formula called 1 MC over W, which simply stands for one meaningful connection per week. What if you built into your calendars 15 to 20 minutes to have a meaningful conversation with somebody at your job, in your community, at the school, or your children, or all the things, or at the pet daycare, whatever that thing might be, and to just ask them about them? I believe and operate by this statement is that we should seek to be more interested than interesting, right? And as we have these meaningful conversations, we learn about people and experiences and grow. And that formula allows us to move forward. And you may say, Justin, that's too much because that's 52.14 times a year. Well, I'm glad you challenged me. Well, let's flip the W upside down and make it one meaningful connection per month. But maybe it's a lunch, because that's the opportunity for us to develop. So that's the strategy behind that. In deep listening, the strategy I want to give you is we call it the power of three. What we found in our research is that most people only listen to the power of one or the power of two.
Mhm.
It's because they can't wait to bring it back to themselves. So imagine a power of three like this, Nicole. I'm saying, hey, Nicole, how are you doing today? You're like, I'm fine. I'm like, I'm fine too. That's power of one. If I took it one step further, I was like, oh, what makes you fine? Oh, I was talking to this interesting bald head speaker. Oh, I remember that bald head speaker. That's two, right? But three is like, what made him interesting? And he was always talking about, one meaningful connection per week. He was talking about how do we move to an inclusive mindset, like, oh, and see, when we stop at the power of one or power of two, we're not genuinely listening. In a distracted world, the way that we have deep listening is engaging with the power of three. So I want you to, as you're listening to this episode, the next person you talk to, I want you to practice the power of three, because our brains are triggered. And sometimes this is what I love doing this in our sessions, is that people want to jump in. It's not because they're egotistical or narcissists. It's because they're trying to find connections. But be very careful in your desire to make connections that you don't end up taking control. So somebody says to you, you ask them how their weekend was, and they're just like, oh, I went to this great seafood restaurant. Instead of doing what we about 96% of us do, is like, but have you been to this one? What if we asked them what made that restaurant great for you, and
Mhm.
begin to dig deeper into their journey? So I just want to give some strategy as we think through some of the concepts.
Yeah, and my mind is going a million miles an hour listening to you because in the rest of the book you talk about powerful questions, which is a huge part of what I do and build a vibrant culture is teaching people to ask questions. In fact, many of my leaders, I talk to them about my shine coaching methodology, and one of the habits is I want you to ask two questions before you give your opinion.
Yeah, that's
Just
good.
this little habit of being interested in what your employees have to say, being interested in the story, being interested in the process before you just
Good.
come off with an opinion that's not fully informed. So I think that's really huge. And then you also go on to talk about dialogue, which is
Yeah,
a whole nother podcast, but just doing the art of dialogue, I think is so important. And you have a different author in here. I already ordered the book, but I got the information from a
William
gentleman
Isaacs.
named
Yeah,
yeah, that I worked underneath. He was a master coach and he taught me dialogue. It changed my thinking. And he used to
yeah,
say, imagine the power of all of everyone's genius at work.
yeah. That's good.
It sounds
That's
fluffy,
so
but
good.
it's like, no, no, no. Imagine
Yeah,
if everybody's brain was harnessed because we were curious about what they knew or what they experienced or where they've been. I think it's so good. All right.
yeah,
So another one in here that you have is a person with an inclusive mindset intentionally engages others who look, think, and behave differently, while someone with an exclusion mindset either leaves all their interactions to chance, which I thought was interesting, or only engages with those who look, think, and believe similarly.
yeah. That's so powerful for me, and it's one of
Hmm.
the principles that I learned from my mom. And
What's
so
your
I
mama's name?
realized her name is Valerie Jones Williams. She's
Oh my
an
God, Valerie
amazing
Jones Williams. I
soul.
love her.
Yes, amazing soul. And we're putting a big event on Friday, so she's coming on Thursday. So I'm really excited to see
Best
mom.
grandma ever, too. Is she
Yeah.
just
Oh, yes, she is.
worship?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
By the way, if you're like parents are living, so this is a quick side note. several years ago, I started asking the question. I love my birthday, right? But I started asking the question. My friends are awesome. But I was like, why am I spending my birthday with my friends? Why don't I spend it with the person who birthed me? And
Yeah,
so
that's good.
every birthday I have, and again, not everybody's person is living, so I understand that. But every birthday I have, I spend with her because it's my birthday and what we call her birthing day. And so we do kind of her living list, not the bucket, but her living list of things that she always wanted to do. And so we've been to the Grand Canyon and we have traveled to the Niagara Falls and we're going to do like well, I can't tell because she maybe listened to it. So I can't tell what's happened this birthday. But the interesting thing is that what I learned from my mom is that we intentionally seek out the perspective of others. We intentionally go and engage with people who think, look, and believe differently. And I realized, Nicole, I wasn't living up to my mom's ideals. I was starting to surround myself with people who looked like me, thought like me, believed like me. And so I created, again, as a strategist, I created a process that would help me. And we walked several organizations through this, but I love when individuals do this themselves. And it's called the Circles of Grace Challenge. And a
Hmm.
Circles of Grace challenge is simply this, where every 6 to 12 months, I've extended it before it was 6 months, but every 6 to 12 months, I go to events, experiences, or I engage with people in either which I don't know a lot about or that I disagree with. And I go only asking two questions. What did I learn about these events, people, and experiences? And what did I learn about myself as I
Hmm.
experienced them?
That's
And
right.
and some of my Circles of Grace challenges have been so transformative where I've said like, "Oh, wow, like I got that all wrong. Like I thought I knew, but I didn't because I spent more time asking questions." And there's some that literally have confirmed and like they are exactly how I thought they were, right? But what I did receive was a first-hand experience rather than from social media or the news or other places. And that allows us to make humanity go forward.
Right. Get yourself some data points, people. Yeah. And what he's talking about is on page 49, and so these circles I think are really good. And I love that you're a strategist, not just talking about it. You're giving us actual to-dos, but also a great visual. So there are several great visuals in the book too that you kind of need to, get downloaded in your brain, give Justin credit. But in the middle, he says, like, there's you, and then
Yeah.
around you is like your family and friends, like that's the comfort zone, right? And then people like you and people like those you love. And then I love that outside circle is creating these meaningful relationships and getting exposed to others. I think that's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah. Yeah, such good stuff. All right. So the other thing about inclusive mindset, it focuses on ways that we can progress in our strengths and weaknesses in matters of diversity and inclusion. With someone with the exclusion mindset focuses on how to be perfect before they take action. So that's kind of a back to the growth mindset, fixed mindset kind of thing.
Yeah, and if I could press pause and double click there, my wife says double click. I've been adopting that language, but double clicking there is is the unintended consequence of moving into this strengths based culture is I think people have gotten it wrong of what the initial intention of strengths based meant. Strengths based never meant don't do things that you're not currently good at. And
That's
that's where
right.
people have leaned into. It's like I'm only going to do the things that I'm strong in, and which means that I'm excluding opportunities for growth and learning because you don't know if you're strong or not in these things. Strengths-based training and strengths-based learning was never meant to be that. So I want to be very careful because I talk about both strengths and areas that we're currently weak in and develop. Like, I go to the gym almost every single day, and there's been things that I've been weak at but I've worked on them and I've gotten better. And so be very careful in this strengths based culture and society. Like, I know my top strength is strategy, right? And I've done all the strengths finders and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't mean ignore the areas of potential growth. And so that's one thing I want us to consistently think of. Just don't do the things you're good at.
Yeah, and and so my turn to dovetail on that one. So I am a certified strengths finders coach, and I couldn't agree more that people are confused about strengths finders. So it's like when you look at that list of all those strengths, you do want to take into consideration the value of them and what you might do to what I say is shore it up. It might
Yeah.
never be your number one, because you can't have
Yeah.
everything be number one. Hello,
Right.
it's a
Right.
list, right? But you can look at, like the bottom of the list and go,
Yeah.
hmm, what might happen in my life if I shored these up, or
Yes.
gave them a little attention and intention. So I'll tell you a quick story, Justin. I was working with this gal. She's an organizational development professional inside
Mm.
of her organization. And I was coming in to help them build a vibrant culture, and she and I have just, like sisters from another mother, and we just have the best time together. And so she took the strengths finders, and she was like, called me, and she's like, I'm depressed. I'm like, what's the matter? She said,
Yeah.
discipline is my lowest word on here. And I was like,
Mm.
yeah. Now here's the thing. I do have to remind her of things a lot of times. She doesn't oftentimes write down everything she should write down. She does sometimes she forgets things because she's
Yeah.
not as organized or as disciplined as she needs to be. And she's like, I really need to work on that, don't I? And I
Mm.
said, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what I call truth telling, honesty, and candor. Is,
Yes.
is like letting people know, no, that would really help you and it would help the rest of us.
Yeah.
If you could just shore that up just a bit, like we don't expect you to
Yeah.
figure out how to write an encyclopedia and, do all the things in life, but like that does need your attention and intention. So I love that. I love what you're saying. So good. All right. Another thing you have in here is a person with an inclusive mindset doesn't compare themselves, and you shared that just earlier. But those with an exclusion mindset generally compare themselves to those as they perceive are worst. At least I'm not as bad as him or her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's huge. Yeah, like letting yourself off the hook
Yeah.
kind of
It's so
thing.
it's so easy. I mean, it's one of the
Yes.
things I remember a while ago, I think my pastor was giving a sermon about why we love watching like these train wreck documentaries because it makes us feel good about ourselves. And it was very just interesting, kind of that concept of like we love watching the people like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, or the people who hoard, oh my gosh, I can't believe, because it's like at least I'm not like them. But unfortunately, I think we take that same approach to our everyday lives. It's that it's easy for us to say, well, oh, at least I'm not like them, versus asking the question of how might I develop and grow? What's my, we call it in our team plus one. What's my plus one? What's that one area that I'm imperfectly progressing in?
Mhm.
And that's the opportunity. But when we take that a level of accountability for self, it's harder, it's nestling into the hard, but it allows us to grow. And I find that most people, you know, I don't say most, a lot of people just simply like to, well, oh, at least and that's the most dangerous statement. At least that's achieving our goals. Well, at least I hit my sales number last month. Right? Oh, this is a whole new month.
That's
At
right.
least,
It's a
right?
do-over, dude.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like at least. So that's the one of our most challenging statements. At least.
Yeah, yeah. And I've got a mentor, Justin, her name's Ann, and she's like late 70s, 80 pounds,
Mm,
soaking wet, ball of fire. And she will say, listen, don't validate, justify, and rationalize everything. Take a look. I'm like, oh, hey.
that's brilliant. That's great.
Isn't that good? Yeah, and
That's
so she's amazing. All right, and then, there's 10 here. I don't know. I think I've missed a couple, but it's because Justin's illustrating them so beautifully. I think this last thing I think is really, really good. A person with an inclusive mindset looks for opportunities to invite others who are missing from the room, especially
Mm,
marginalized and underrepresented groups, while someone with an exclusion mindset focuses only on their self interests. So that one, when I read that one, I just immediately go back to my upbringing. And if you don't
mm,
get that from, your amazing mama that Justin had or my grandma Mert,
yeah.
I was told, you go down there and you ask her to come over and play. And I'd say, I don't want her to come over and play. She says, you, you, I'm 8 years old. I don't know nothing. And she
Right.
says, you go ask her. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
and, like, I didn't know why she was forcing the issue, but now I know why she was kind of like, "You do this. That's what you do. You invite," and one of the concepts you have in here, which is a strategy of Justin's, is welcoming people.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, a quick story about that. So
Yeah,
my birthday
please.
challenge leaned into. So now I do an international trek every single year. That's a part of the journey. And so one year I did Machu Picchu, and of course after you've done the Inca Trail and backpacked and camped out in tents and done I don't know how many tens and tens of miles, that you want to go to the gym the next day. And so I did. So I'm in Lima, Peru, and I come out of the gym. It's a Sunday and closed early. And I'm leaving. I'm going to go back to the Airbnb. And I notice there's this circle of young people who are listening to music and dancing. I'm just so captivated because I'm loving the music. I'm like, oh, this is awesome and amazing. I'm like, this is great. And so I'm tapping my head and tapping my shoulders and I wanted to join the circle, right? But then I started to have these moments of doubt. I started saying, but I'm different than them. I'm what if they don't speak the same language I do? Like, I'm from a different country. I'm I'm much older. And then the big question came, Nicole. I was like, what if they don't like my dancing? And so all
Yeah,
these
because I'm trying
moments,
really
right?
hard. My moves here.
All these moments of doubt, I'm getting ready to walk back to the Airbnb. And this gentleman comes out, one of the best dancers that was in this circle. I mean, I'm fascinated. This guy was amazing. But I later found out his name was Pantera. And Pantera came out and he was like, hey, man, right as I was getting ready to leave. He's like, hey, he's like, where are you from? I was like, United States. And he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Justin. He was like, Justin, if you want to join the circle, you can join the circle. And he's like, if you want to dance, you can dance. And, I tried to play it off. I was like, I'm just been waiting for the right song, right? But all the while I was dealing with these moments of doubt. And so I joined the circle, right? And as I'm joining the circle, I'm just having fun and seeing people, having great time and all these things. And I decided to jump in. Right. And the right song came on, and I was doing all my stuff, and doing my Michael Jackson, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I'm doing it, I'm having a great time. Right. And all these things, you can find it online. And the interesting thing is that when I got done, everybody was like, "Oh yeah!" And person gave me a high five and all these kind of things. One guy even tried to imitate me, right? And all these kind of things. And what I learned in that moment, because I didn't know that they were videotaping me, right? And it wasn't until I got back home and I saw it on Instagram. And as I was watching this, Nicole, almost getting goosebumps talking about it, I realized that that was a perfect moment of inclusion. Pantera, Pantera, he left the circle where he was one of the best dancers. And he came out to me. This guy, he didn't even know if I could dance, but he just noticed me observing from the outside. And he asked me about me. Where are you from? What's your name? And he welcomed me into the circle. He said, if you want to join the circle, you can join it. And then, Nicole, he invited me to dance. He said, if you want to dance, you can dance. But here's the kicker. When I got done and they clapped, right? None of them may ever dance like me. But that was a moment of belonging because I felt like I could dance the way I freely wanted to dance. And they still embraced me.
Mhm.
Here's where that is important for us is where are we the best dancers in our circles? That we need to, like Pantera, leave the circles, go and hear and ask people about them, welcome them into the circle, invite them to the table, the event, the golf outing, the other thing that you go to, and encourage them to show up, not to assimilate to who you are, but to dance in the way that they dance. That's what I learned about not just being welcoming, but also inviting and creating cultures of belonging. And that's all thanks to Pantera.
Mm, so good, so good. Yeah, and so you've got a whole chapter on welcoming and inviting, and I'll just maybe this might be a good place to kind of we only got halfway through this thing, so inviting behaviors. Here are a few things that you can do. You can smile at people. You can hold the door open. When in a meeting, you can ask somebody who's quiet, what are your thoughts, and see if they have some value to add. And when people ask them to join you for lunch, ask them to be part of an important assignment, and then while sitting by yourself, inviting people into the group. So again, I've just got my grandma Mert in my head the whole time I see that whole list. Dare I say this, but it's kind of like, like that's what I was told is good manners. That's it, the
Yeah.
mannerisms that create the inclusion that we're after, right? Is
Yeah.
thinking about somebody other than yourself, pulling people in, making sure they're heard, they're seen, they're valued. I think it's so, so good. Now, I'd love for you to leave everybody with one nugget before we go. And I think this is huge. You say on page 67, it's really good to be invitable. This is like a
Yes.
trait, like a new
Yes.
character trait for me that I'm going to put on my list. Because I try to teach character everywhere I go. It's like,
Yeah.
how could I be invitable, right? So it's one
Yeah.
thing to invite somebody in, but then
Yes.
you got to be the kind of guy or gal, that I want to invite in. Like if I think
Yeah.
it's going to be trouble, why would I invite? So it's
Yeah.
it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things that we had to uncover because we started again, more and more you get into the conversation and the research,
Yeah.
people we'd have conversations with people and they would say, "Justin, I've been inviting people, but they always turn me down." Right? I've been doing some of these things. I've offered to mentor
Yeah.
and they didn't want to be mentored by me. Like all of these things, or I invited them to the happy hour over and over again, but they're like, "Oh, I just want to go home." Right? So, and again, we don't always have to go to everything that everybody has, and all these kind of things, but we have to ask the question, how am I invitable to others? Am I the person that's also smiling back? Am I the person that's saying hi to people? I mean, I had to even so again, I'm a story person. I learned a lot about this. So I built a new home, right? And I was one of the first 20 homes. And then what I didn't realize is that in my community, it's about 95% Indian. 95%, right? And I was hem and
Oh, you're gonna
hawing
have
like,
some good curry at the
yeah,
cookout.
yeah, possibly, right? Possibly, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so the interesting thing is just I was distraught initially because I was just I wanted more racial diversity. I wanted more ethnic diversity. I didn't want it to be I felt this homogenous towards Indian, right? And so I'd be walking and I'd be walking my dog or just walking and they were playing volleyball. It was we building and they were like, "Hey, you want to play?" I was like, "No, no, no, I'm walking right now." No, no. So I kept realizing, and I was like, "Justin, you're not invitable. They've been inviting you over and over again, and you keep on, no, I have something else to do. No, I'm running. No, I'm walking." And so one day I'm walking with my son, or we're walking our dog, and it clicked in me. I said, the next time that they invite me, I'm going to join. Right. And because I still felt like an outsider in my own community. Right.
Mhm.
And I was like, and so they did it, or no, they didn't even do it. I noticed it was like 4 against 5. And I was watching, I was like, oh, I was like, "Hey, y'all need another one?" They're like, "Yeah, come on." Right. So I gave my dog to my son. I was like, "All right, walk the dog back home." And I went and played. And that was the beginning. While playing volleyball with them, I learned their names. I learned some of their stories. And then every day at the same time, at least while we could, right, we were played volleyball together. And it grew because I shifted from being so busy to being a person that could belong. And that's our opportunity. So maybe don't turn down every happy hour, right? Maybe again, even if you don't drink, you can go and like I don't drink right now, and I'll go and have a sparkling water with a lime, right? And I'll still go and have conversation. Maybe don't
Of
turn down
course.
every golf opportunity. Maybe don't turn down when a person invites you to an event or something like that. Or again, you don't have to go to everything. I'm not saying that. Right? My introvert's like, no, right? But I am asking you to consider how you might say yes to some things to be more invitable.
Mm, so good, so good. Yeah, and how's your volleyball game? See, there's
Oh, I've,
upside
I've
too.
always been good. So yeah, I've been good since little. So yeah, I've like trophies in my mom's house. Don't question my volleyball game.
Oh, and the people that had the 4 and went to 5 got you. They were like, "OMG,
I'm the
who's on the
server,
court?"
Nicole. I'm the server that jumps up, that runs and jumps up and hits the ball. Like that's my serving style. I don't just bloop. No, no, no. I'm running and hitting it overhand. Like wow.
That is so fantastic. I love it. All right, everybody. It's been another fantastic, vibrant episode of the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. And look, go get this book if you're on the YouTube, The Inclusive Mindset: How to Cultivate Diversity in Your Everyday Life with my, hopefully I get to call you not an acquaintance, but my good friend Justin Jones-Fosu. And he's got another book out. Maybe he'll send me a copy of that, and we'll talk about
Yes.
what is it? How to disagree.
It's called I Respectfully Disagree: How to Have Difficult Conversations in a Divided World.
Oh, doesn't that sound juicy, everybody? All right, if it sounds juicy and you want to hear more about it, go down in the comments. It takes one hot second. Leave a little love note for Justin, and then we'll show the love notes to Justin, and we'll see if we can get him back here on the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. That would be fantastic in my life. Justin, it's been so good to be with you. I'm so grateful for your time and energy. It was so great to see you at Influence back in, gosh, was that August?
Yeah.
In Oh
July,
no,
oh,
it was
late July.
July.
Yep.
July
Yep.
was in July. Yeah. And you should see he has a beautiful wife and kiddos. So cute. Yeah. All right. Well, good to be with you. I hope to see you at the next NSA event, and don't be a stranger. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Nicole.
tuning
Bye.
in. Bye.
Vibrant culture we heed. All right. Bye.